Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what's happening today? It is I, your No Excuses coach, Christopher Rausch, along here with my good buddy and fellow master coach, Mr. Scott Goyette. And we are here today for a masterclass. The masterclass is called Jump Into Your Potential, and it's from our Raise Your Vibration group coaching program that we are super excited to be able to talk to you about today. And in today's program, what we're going to do is we're going to cover some of the main points of the love and the fear model, which we've been using in our group coaching program, which has been so creatively designed by Mr. Goyette. And we've been following it through the last 12 weeks of this particular course. And we have found the results are absolutely tremendously overwhelming in a 12-week course. So our goal here today is to really just share with you tidbits of this package and this information so that you can actually walk away from this. If nothing else, you can walk away with this with some stepping stones in order to get your 2021 jump started. But moreover, we're going to be sharing some amazing opportunities for you to kind of work with us later on down the road. And we have a little special guest surprise for you as well. But first and foremost, we just want to get started by, a few of you have jumped in and known us for a little bit, but I don't know if you know our backstory. So Scott, why don't you go ahead and share with everybody a little bit about yourself and what your career is and what helps you become the master coach that you are?
It's a good question, Chris, and I'll try to keep it relatively succinct because as a business guy, we know what they talk about with spin, not spin. What is it? Keep it simple, stupid, kiss. That's what it was. Remember, all the teachers would teach you kiss, keep it simple, stupid. So I'll do that. Not that I trust that I'm stupid because I don't believe in that at all, but that's what the teachers use for the acronym. So long story short, like many of us, I followed the path that led me to what was supposedly my excellence. And I think sometime what we end up doing is we chase what our excellence is and we never find our true genius. The word we use in our group coaching is brilliance. And I try to get people to find their brilliance. So what I mean by that is back when I was younger, I was always told by guidance counselors, follow something that has to do with math, become an engineer, become an architect, do something, statistics wise, because that's what I performed well with in testing. But like many of us know, our deep down passions and what we were really called to be doesn't always align to that excellence. So many people sit there on their deathbed and say, what the hell did I just do? We don't ask the big questions. We ask the question of how can I take my skills, say math, apply it, make money, get to a certain point and retire. But we don't ask, why am I here? We don't ask, what am I really supposed to be? Never mind that. What is this world? What is this? What am I doing here? And so one of the things that I've done over the course of my life through lots of trial and error, lots of failure, and those failures, as I've grown, have happened more and more quickly. And I document those as lessons. I see those as valuable as any success. So over the course of my life, I've accepted the fact that the world's trying to make me use my excellence. So I went in, I did the things I was supposed to do as far as using these skills. I used math for a while. I transitioned. I was actually studying architecture for a year because everyone said that's what you're supposed to do. I shifted to business, but then again, you're using a lot of the same skill sets. In sales, it was a numbers game, a lot of the same things. Luckily, a few people bumped into my world, and I won't go into the deep stories in that. But those people helped me to find the reality that I'm not supposed to be a salesperson. I'm not supposed to be an engineer. I'm not supposed to be doing these things. My genius, my brilliance has always been empowering and teaching and elevating others. Getting somebody to see their brilliance was my brilliance. And so it took a lot of time. And like I said, a lot of trial and error. But long story short, through a few chance meetings, I ended up finding somebody who said, you need to be a teacher. Within 2 weeks of that meeting, I was teaching college business. Motivational speaking happened in the same way. Somebody said, do you speak? I love what you're saying. Would love to get you on stage. And my answer was yes. And then I went and did it. And so all of a sudden, you're getting paid for that. And then you've got to figure out, how do I make this valuable? And I learned to do that quickly. I've also become an author, podcast host, all these things because they're vehicles for me to share my brilliance. And so that's probably a reasonable summary because what I'm telling you guys to do is exactly what I did. I took everything that supposedly I was supposed to do, and instead I found out in my heart of hearts by connecting to source what I really needed to do. What was that why, that purpose? And so we're doing the same thing with you guys. We want to make sure that you find that why now, not tomorrow, now, because tomorrow never comes. It's like you go to a bar and you see free beer tomorrow. Best marketing you can ever do because tomorrow never comes, right? How many times you've been in a bar and you see that, you're like, free beer tomorrow, and then you process it and you're like, wait a minute. That's up there every day. So it's the same thing. You're never going to get it tomorrow. So we do everything with now. So that's a good summary for me, Chris. What about you? What brings you here to make sure that you can share the right things to be a coach and get people to rise up and be brilliant?
Oh man, thanks. Yeah, no, Scott, that's been a journey and a half. And for those of you guys who haven't heard my journey, I'm going to attempt to do it in the nutshell version here. Essentially, I'm a former 7th grade homeless dropout who lived in the back seat of a station wagon with 18 cats and 2 dogs for the period of about 4 years. I went through various physical, mental abuse throughout my life. I tried to commit suicide twice. Unfortunately, I sucked at it. I dug through garbage cans. I lived in abandoned vans, people's garages. I did anything I could possibly do to survive for the first 18 years of my life, including my childhood. And then one day I decided that I had to make a change for myself. Otherwise, I was going to wind up dead or in jail or prosperous. And I knew that that had to be my choice based on the situations that I had been going through. So obviously I made the choice to love myself and to find myself a new life, irregardless of my upbringing. And so I just started immersing myself into personal development. I started eating up everything from Tony Robbins to Les Brown to Zig Ziglar to Brian Tracy to all the greats. I just started going to the library. I just started reading books and I started going back to school. I went back to school, got my GED, went back to that, got into college, got my associate's degree, my bachelor's degree, and graduated my master's degree. The same year I bought my first house. And then I was at a spot, Scott, I was in the corporate world and I was wanting to help other people. And I was doing that on the side. And I was excited about it, but there was no way for me to do the corporate thing and the coaching and the speaking and the shows and everything else. And so ultimately, after a 26-year career in the corporate industry as the director of operations, very successful, very comfortably miserable, I made an exit and now have been doing the coaching and the speaking in our show and my show and everything that we're going to be doing in the future since then. So what's my pedigree to teach people? I went to the School of Hard Knocks. I graduated from the College of Adversity, and I've coached probably nearly 2,000 people. I've spoke to thousands and thousands of people on stage. I've mentored hundreds and hundreds of at-risk kids. And yeah, that's my pedigree. And that's what I bring to the table is that rawness, that real thing that we have to do to find that tenacity to survive in the world, to get out of our own way, to become something that we never thought that we could be based on other people's projections and their beliefs and everything that we've told ourselves our entire lives. And that's one of the awesome things that Scott and I bring to the table is we have different backgrounds and experiences, but yet the same message that we're bringing to you guys about how it is that you can become a better person, more confident, get more results, and drop a lot of the baggage that you've been carrying around for most of your life. So yeah, I think that's probably the fastest I've ever said my story. Scott, how fast was that?
That was really fast. And I tried to make mine super generalized too, because it's not that we like to talk about ourselves, but we like to explain the reality of what qualifies us. And one thing that's a commonality between both of us as well too, is we asked the universe for what we wanted. And when it created this space to give it to us, it was scary as heck. It happens in the form of you no longer have your job or something is apparently taken away from you. But what really happened was what it freed the space for us to be in service and be here now to be in service to others. So we can explain that as we move forward, but I think that's equally important. Another thing that I think is important too, is we are hungry for perspective, between traveling, between meeting people, between connecting with people of all walks of life, people who are very different. We do that and we love it and thrive on it because the more we understand each individual, the more we understand the collective, and we can identify when we see you struggling with something because we've seen it before. And that's one thing when I first met you that I know we're in the same boat. We love that. We love to see somebody who's completely different and we're inspired by it and said, tell me more because I want to understand you. Because when I understand you better, I understand me better. And so we practice that often, not often, daily. And that's one more thing that I think brings us here to share with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well said, Scott. Well said. And I mean, the point of this program, this masterclass right here is to dig in and give some people some tidbits that they can walk away with and get them energized for a kick-ass 2021. We know that 2020 has been a challenging year, a year of growth, a year of opportunity, a year of reflection, a year of really just kind of like a reset. We've talked about it so many times, Scott, that this is the year that all of us can decide to go, hey, I'm going to go try to find, what was and find that certainty back. Or you could be with the rest of us and say, hey, what's exciting? What's going to come up next? How can I become stronger and more confident so that whenever something else in my life unexpected comes up, that I can pivot, I can be resourceful, I can have the confidence not to go, oh my God, what is it and what's going to happen? You stand up and you sit there and say, all right, let's bring it, let's do this. I love the love and the fear model, and I love how you created it, because those acronyms really do stand for a lot in a simple way, but yet a very, very profound way. What are some of the tips that you want to share with that today to really lend to our viewers and our listeners that are watching this and listening to this, so they can walk away with some impactful things that they can use today?
Perfect. So I'll back up just a tiny bit. I want to just tell you how that model was created, because I think it's purposeful, and it's important to understand. Just like we were just saying with Chris, both of us have asked the universe to create space for us to be the most brilliant individuals we can and find our mastery. And there was one night when I was working in the sales arena and I was selling telecommunications, and I was just drained. And I was sitting there and I was trying to get to sleep. And the last thing I remember was, I don't even really remember falling asleep. I was on the couch. I passed out. I wake up to go to work, and I had my computer open. I bought the domain name Go Love Now. And I had written out the words love and fear, and I created acronyms for them. I don't even fully remember doing it. I remember like meditating before I went to sleep, trying to go to sleep. And so I must have literally meditated on this, connected to what I would call source, you call God, universe, whatever. And so in that connection, I created an acronym for love. And that was, and again, Go Love Now is about the domain name, is the name of the brand and everything that we're following, the Go Love Now movement. Go is the action. There's an action in go. Like, let's do this. Love, that's what everything is. And everything's about the present, doing it now. So Go Love Now is what we're preaching. The love model is listen, observe, voice, and empathize. And the reason that came to me is because that's exactly how we connect to the world. We use our senses, listening, our sight, our ears, our eyes, our mouth to connect, our heart to connect. And so one of the things that's happened, and we've seen this in 2020, is we have been so dead set on autopilot. Some people say I'm in the matrix or whatever. Whatever you believe you're in, we're on autopilot. The minute you accentuate your senses and amplify them and get deeper in your connection to this world, amazing things happen. But I'll promise you this too. When this came to me, at first it sounded like, great, so we amplify our senses, everybody's gonna be better off. Here's the thing though. Once you realize that you have power to create and the power to manifest, sometimes there's an overwhelming fear. So the reality is, when you turn your senses up, a lot of great things are gonna happen. So what we do with the love model is we listen, and we listen a little more closely to our intuitive self. So our ability to connect to source. So some people want to talk about prayer, meditation. What we're going to do is help you clear that channel to connect to source. Then what ends up happening is, once you clear that channel and you start to hear and understand what you're supposed to become, people start to show up. Teachers, angels, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't even matter. Like, whatever your beliefs are. But they show up. And you know how you hear when the student's ready, the teacher will appear? We literally have exercises to accentuate that process and make that happen. And it's really, really exciting and fun. The observe piece is observing yourself. It's making sure that you see what you need to give yourself so you can be the best you possible. So it's the self-love, the self-nurture, could be diet, exercise, things that you do to make you the best you possible. And then guess what happens when you love yourself enough? You can love others. You become an active observer for the world. So you're out there doing things to be in service to others. Then the one that so many of us struggle with. We can still hear our gym teacher when we were a kid, "You're not good enough," or that teacher saying, "What are you, stupid?" That inner critic inside of us, that voice, the V component, we're repeating those things that are not true. That's not part of our story. That was somebody else's story trying to infiltrate ours. So we help you heal and adjust that inner critic. Guess what happens? Then your outer voice to others becomes positive. And guess what? More and more people want to be part of what you're selling or what you're doing. They want to be a part of you because your voice is positive and energizing. And now you connect more deeply. Then finally, the E is empathize with all. And so we've got to make sure that we empathize with everybody, because everybody's part of this world. Now, there's a divide right now in our country, correct? There's people you say, I can never understand what they're doing. The one part of empathy I'd have to disagree with is we don't need to understand what everybody's doing. We've got to have some depth and compassion. We've got to say they grew up in some different circumstances. They believe what they believe. How can I, at least from heart to heart, realize they're a human having a human experience too? And how can I be the best me without being affected by that. Because here's what's going to happen. If I repeatedly say how horrible they are, that's going to accentuate that problem. The universe responds to, if I hear do or don't, it's the same thing. It just hears do. So when I hear bad, I'm just going to keep hearing bad, bad. So we teach you how to kind of correct those things and adjust those things so you can love yourself and others more. Chris, you want me to do the fear model real quick too?
Sure, absolutely. I'm just typing here with our guests or with our viewers here.
Cool. I don't want to be talking too much. We want to take a break with that. So then the fear model. Now think of this. Everything with the love model is how do we connect more deeply to this world? So this is how do I do the work here? How do I connect? How do I interact? Then there's one thing we got to realize too, though. While we were on autopilot, we were collecting a lot of baggage. The baggage might have been, I did this wrong. That person did this wrong. You know, all the things that we wish we could have changed. So the fear model is this. It's getting rid of that baggage. And we start with forgiveness, forgiving yourself and others for those things that have happened in the past. How do we get to present moment and sever those relationships with old things that happened so we can get here and now? The next one is eliminating needs, beliefs, or past programming that never served you or no longer serves you. Then it's accepting yourself and others where you or they are at in this journey. And then finally, rising up and being resilient. And we actually help you create a formula so you can connect more deeply with others and be a more resilient individual. So we're literally going to give you all the steps to make these things happen. I can say this, watching the people go through it on a one-on-one coaching level and then the group coaching, it's unbelievable. And so many people think, oh, I could never do that in a group. I'd rather have the one-on-one. We're going to have somebody, a special guest here at the end who will dispute that, because I'm a person too who says, I don't want to say this in front of others. I don't want to do these things. I don't want to be part of this group. This is about me. And one of the things that happens is when we grow in the collective, it amplifies the power 20, 100, 1,000-fold. And I will promise you that. And so we can ask some questions of our special guest, but I watched it happen. Chris has watched it happen. And it's honestly, it's literally the most beautiful thing you can ever see. Like, it really is. I love watching my ego and preconceived notions at the beginning of a class going, oh, this person's going to struggle. This is going to be an issue, whatever. And they put their heart into it. And my preconceived notions are wrong. And they elevate, you know, of course, I'm giving them the support, but I love watching when they outperform everything I thought they could do. I give them, of course, the support. But in my mind, I'm like, but can they really? Can they? And they always do. Mm-hmm. And it's, you give them the tools, you give them the support, and we interact as a family. And it's mind blowing. It's absolutely beautiful to watch, because, I mean, Chris and I have been through some struggles. So in the back of our minds, our inner critics are going, but can they? You know, we're going to support them, but will it really happen? And one of the most beautiful things about authenticity, transparency, and truth is not only do we give the support, not only do we watch these people grow, but we all grow together, because we're all human beings, and we just provide the tools and we assist in them using them, and the journey is all there. So it's powerful and beautiful. What do you think, Chris?
No, man, you're preaching to the choir here. Yeah, I was going to mention that as well, because when we were talking to the current family, we call them the Awakening Crew. They came up with that name themselves. We're going to call us the family. What do you guys want to be called? Like, we don't want to be called the Awakening Crew. And we actually really dug that. But one of the things that they, said that was their apprehension about, like, just being in a group dynamic, like, okay, I'm going to say my stuff. But, I've been in group coaching programs. I have facilitated group coaching programs by myself, and now doing it with you, which has been a great experience. And it really truly is, because everybody kind of shows up. It's like the first day of class. It's like going to a seminar. Everybody walks into a seminar like, okay, God, I'm gonna have to do that thing where I'm gonna high five my fucking neighbor, and I'm gonna have to hug somebody I don't know, and they're gonna make me do uncomfortable things. And I go into there going, oh, they're gonna make me do that. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the afternoon, you're like, dude, give me your phone number. Oh, we should go to the bar after and have a beer. Oh my God, I love you. My daughter and your son would be totally we all do it. And that's been the beauty about this, is there's been such a diverse group of individuals that, even myself, I was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. But like you said, on a microcosm level, That's the world. The world, you're going to find the different personalities. You're going to find the people with different political beliefs. You're going to find the different people with different ethnicities and backgrounds. That's the beauty about this, is I believe truly that all of us have received an education in life from the various aspects in this group and the things we've talked about, deeper than the things about us, but talking about what's going on in the world today, because we have provided that forum, Scott, for people to come in and say, okay, listen, before we start anything else, let's have a vent session. And we've done that. Even Scott and I have come there and said, hey man, the world's heavy right now. We're feeling some stuff. What do you guys say about just spending a bit of time and just letting go of what we got going on and just talking about it as a group? And that was a huge session, man. That was so beautiful, because we're just going to pause. We're going to pause the group. We're going to pause the curriculum. We're not going to take away a class. But what we want to do is we want to make sure you guys are in the right spot. And that's what this is really about. Is the way I look at it, Scott, is this is really, and I'm all about the foundation. It's like, you cannot build a strong house on a cheap foundation. And that's what a lot of people do. They have a shitty foundation of their childhood memories and the belief systems, and they think they packed them all away. Oh, it's good. I'm good. I'm strong. I'm successful. I have the plaques on my wall. I'm good. I'm happy. Inside they're saying, I'm supposed to be happy. What does happy really feel like? And we get to the root causes of those situations, those childhood beliefs, those negative beliefs, like you said, especially with the empathy and the understanding and the forgiveness that we had to do. That is painful stuff. That is challenging stuff. I'm not going to say it's hard, but it's challenging. But when you release, just imagine, I think about it like this. I think about walking through, and I've done this. I walked through O'Hare Airport dragging like 6 bags and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, God, I would be so much faster if I wasn't dragging this shit. Why am I dragging it? And that's the beauty of the program is we get you to release that stuff, but we get you to release it in such a way that you learn from others, and you can go back to your workplace and say, hey, listen, you know what? There was a guy like that in my group, and I misjudged that person. Maybe I should seek first to understand and then to be understood. And that way I can make that connection and maybe help myself and him be a little bit happier and have those conversations. But the other thing I wanted to say, Scott, that's really important about this group that I have not seen in other groups is that we really go deep. We go into, okay, why? We're not afraid to ask you guys those questions and pause and say, hey, listen, let's stop right here. And let's go deep on this and figure out what the root causes of this is. Because in so many books and so many self-help situations, they're diagnosing the symptom. When you get to the root and you pull that root out, you pull the root of a weed out, the weed can't grow anymore. And that's the beauty of it, is like, okay, yeah, it's a comfortable environment, but it's also the accountability that you guys need and that we need as well to get to that, what's that root? And once you pull that root, it's a little bit painful and it kind of stings, but you go, hey, now I don't have that sore pain anymore.
100%. And it's funny because one of the things I think people like about being in the group, and it actually adds to what we talked about in the beginning, is we can sit here and just play Mr. Perfect and, just tell them everything that they need to hear and just not show our cards. But like you said, and like I just said, when we started, I'm like, oh, is this person going to be all right? Hey, is that going to work out? Of course, I'm not saying that, but I would love to be honest with everybody so they see what we're doing. Because listen, we're creating a structure that we know is going to work, but then something happens. Real life variables. 2020 happens. This person's got an issue. That person's upset about this. And the most amazing thing is when you create that safe space and when you're in support and when you have that level of empathy, because we're using the tools we're sharing, we've seen what happens. Miracles, like you call it a miracle, call it magic. I don't care what you call it. It happens. It happens, and it's amazing. And one of the things that we wanted to do today, because we're doing this as a masterclass, is give a few things that can be takeaways for others. So let's talk about what those things are. The love model really is a way for you to create a beautiful routine of how you connect to the universe. And one of the things that, Chris and I talk about all the time, anytime you read the story or hear the story about somebody who's super successful, they have a beautiful routine. And some of the commonalities to those routines that I see are diet. What's your intake? And it doesn't necessarily need to be food. It's, what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you eating? It's all of it. Are you getting enough sleep? What's your intake? The other thing that's very important is how do you connect? And when I say how do you connect to both source and connect to others. So I would give you 2 very simple pieces of information is if you're not doing it yet, I would certainly embrace a meditative practice. And if you're somebody who says you can't, that's the best thing you could ever hear, because I was one of those people. I can't. I'm too hyper. I can't do it. You kidding? Sit still? There's no way I can do it. Chris said the same thing. The most beautiful thing you can do is challenge yourself to connect to yourself and others. And when I say yourself, the depth of yourself, super conscious. The other thing is really do a check. And we're going to do these things with you throughout the program. But really do a check yourself or with a group or whatever. what are your inputs? What news do you listen to? What are you doing to, grow? What are you doing to stay off autopilot? And autopilot's those things that you're doing that all of a sudden 20 years pass and you say, what the hell just happened? We're not going to let you do that. We're not going to let you do that because we know the outcome of that. The outcome's misery. People sit there on their deathbed and say, why did I just do this? So I think it's super important to create a routine that you monitor your inputs and outputs. So you start the day with good inputs and outputs. Chris mentioned the word gratitude. Start with a massive gratitude chant to yourself. Just talk about all the things you're grateful for. Then get in touch with source, creator, whatever. Do some kind of meditation. There's all kinds out there. We have some, but they're out there. You can get whatever you'd like. And then really double check what are you bringing into your body throughout the day. I guarantee you, if you think, it's food or it's music or whatever, if you really take a look at that and you clean that up a little bit, your input and your output will be massively different. It's not rocket science. This whole thing that we're talking about in life in general isn't rocket science. The second piece, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Chris, because I know you're somebody who has to do this a lot, is the most important piece of baggage. And the reason it's two reasons. It's the beginning of the FAIR model. One, because it starts with F, and two, it's the most important in many ways, is forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself and others. One of the most important things we can do is have that routine where we're checking our intakes and we're making sure that we start our day right. But we can't go back to that place where we're beating up ourselves. So instead of talking about the forgiveness of others, let's talk for a few minutes about what does forgiveness of oneself look like? Because I can guarantee you when I walk into a classroom or step on stage, there's a massive percentage of people that have not forgiven themselves for many things, and they carry such heavy baggage because of it, and it doesn't allow their interactions with others or themselves to be at 100%. So what's a tip or a tool that we can give everybody right now, Chris, to start forgiving themselves right now? Not tomorrow, right now.
Absolutely, Scott. That's such a great point. And that's something that really I have personally taken away in huge quantities from this program myself, going through it with you. Forgiveness is something that we think that we do. And then we come back to it and we realize we haven't fully forgiven. Like, oh, I forgave myself for that. But then, we pack it away in a box and we sit there and say, oh, it's all good. We put a bow tie on it. We wrap it in, steel tape, and we sit there and think, okay, I don't have to deal with that anymore. But the way you can forgive yourself really is you can ask yourself the question, is life happening to me or for me? And I have found that that's one of the most impactful statements that you can ask yourself is like, is this happening to me? Then you're going to be a victim. Oh my God, this is happening to me. What's going to happen? Who's going to come save me? You relinquish your control over the situation. So in order for you to really have a super kick-ass 2021 is you have to forgive yourself. You have to realize that every step and every event in your life has happened to get you to this point. This is part of a test. And I keep this in front of me. This is no bullshit. It's not a stage design, but I keep this in front of me all the time. You never know how close you are. And sometimes we're held back on our dreams. We're held back from reaching that next level in our life because we still have unresolved issues from our past. We have this baggage, like I said before, carrying that. So you ultimately have to say, if it's happening for me, then, and if I've done something that supposedly was a mistake or a failure or embarrassing, or I hurt somebody, then you have to realize that that was part of their journey as well. So you may have done them a favor, and this sounds crazy, and I know this, but when you reshape your perspectives, guys can change the trajectory of your life huge. So maybe you were a part of that person's journey that they needed to experience in that situation, whether you betrayed them or whatever it might be, for them to get stronger. So you were actually helping them at a point in their life where they needed the most to teach them a lesson. And now you're at the point where you're sitting there saying, hey, I'm a lesson teacher. I need to forgive myself for that. There's nothing I can do to change it. It's electrical energy in my brain. So I forgive myself, and now I'm ready to move on. And to build on that, Scott, it's been interesting because I've been doing these coaching calls, these complimentary coaching calls since COVID started. It's my way of giving back, and probably have done about 50 of them. And what's interesting is after about 5 of them, I started asking people this question. I'm like, why are you punishing yourself? And I kid you not, dude, I told you this before, people just stopped. And I was like, I thought there were people are going to get mad. They're like, I didn't realize I was punishing myself. I'm like, yeah, you are shooting yourself in the foot so many times from being happy and progressing forward from all these old beliefs that you haven't forgiven. When you come through this program, guys, you're going to go through and do some exercises that are going to require you to go back and revisit some of that situation. We've got some pretty powerful exercises to help you do that and relieve that weight and that energy so that you can move forward, so that you can have that strong foundation to build support on. And, we're super excited about bringing this to you, but Scott and I can sit here and talk to you guys all day about this. But fortunately, we have somebody backstage that we're going to bring on right now who is currently actively in the group. She's going to come in here and share a little bit of her experiences in her with the show. We're used to doing shows, not
We're so used
masterclass.
to doing shows. We say it all the time. We're like the show, the coaching program, whatever. We're doing something where we're helping people and it's super fun.
Exactly. I mean, that's really the long and the short of it. So I'm happy to
100%.
bring on to camera Miss Danielle. Danielle, how are you doing? Beautiful. Happy Friday.
Hi guys, happy Friday.
Happy
Can you hear me
Friday.
okay?
Yeah, of course.
Are you okay?
Okay.
You look beautiful. You
Good.
rock star.
Thank you.
So how's your Friday teaching you so far?
Good. It's been a long week, but definitely rewarding. Our last exercise was really amazing. It kind of tied everything together. So I'm living off of that.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Without giving, I guess, too much away. You basically you're living in your truth and you're really manifesting everything that you want to be, that you are. So positive affirmations have been a huge asset and tool that we've kind of gained over the last 12 weeks. So that's what I've been using. This week specifically has been, eye-opening.
It's so much fun too is it's fun when we give the exercise and then we do them ourselves, because no matter how far you've grown, it's just an ongoing game, and we just created tools to make this process better. We're all sitting here going, oh my God, this is the best week ever, because something materialized because we're following a process. And
Yeah.
I was just talking to Chris. I don't want to give out the info, but some amazing things manifested themselves. Chris goes, I wish this would happen. And I'm like, Chris, guess what? It's happening. And he's like, no way. It really is crazy. And,
It is.
Or is it just the magic that we were always possessing and we never knew? And all we're doing is giving us the tools. Chris holds that thing with the diamonds. Maybe we just have better tools to get to the diamonds, to get to the magic. It's not that crazy. It just seems crazy because we forgot to use our tools.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think that the answers are really within ourselves. We have everything we need. It's just a matter of being exposed to it the right way. So, I was, not that I was resisting this in the beginning, but you have to trust the process, and getting to week 12 without going through 1 through 11 just doesn't work. So you really have to, do the work to get the progress. It's all about what you put into it.
So here's a question for you too, because my assumptions of the hard parts of the hardest parts of the programs are based on my own issues, my own trauma, my own things. So it's always fun to ask the question, because I know the places that I would struggle the most going through this the first time. Out of LOVE or FEAR, where did you have the biggest friction, or where were you like, oh crap, do I have to do this stuff this week? Like, what was the hardest for you?
Oh, many. I kind of feel like prior to this class, I was on like the yo-yo dieting of self-help. So I never really tackled all these things together, maybe a piece here and a piece there. Forgiveness was a tough piece for myself, maybe not so much for others. Trying to think of the other aspects, just really diving into past traumas that may have been causing things that I didn't even realize. So that's, good and bad, because it's tough to go through in the moment, but the reward at the end is so worth it. And there's really no dollar amount that you can put on helping yourself and investing in yourself. So every penny is worth it, really, to help yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. That means a lot to us. It really does. We talked a little bit about the appearance of working in a group program with other people and kind of sharing your stuff, out in public with that. What has been your experience in this group? And did you have those same concerns when you came in?
Absolutely. I think previously I was talking to Scott, and I have never been a fan of group projects or anything like that. I really feel like I'd rather work on my own and do it myself. This group actually presented a unique experience, not only going through, a pandemic, but now we're able to connect with people all over the world. So I was able to get different dynamics and point of views from people that I would never cross paths with. So with, having an accountability partner and being able to check in with both of you at different times, I really found that there was something that I took away from being connected to everybody in the group. And it may be uncomfortable in the beginning. It may be just something that you're not used to, but if you truly embrace it, you will absolutely get something out of it.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. That is good. And there's another question I have for you. And actually, we had talked to Emily. Emily, unfortunately, couldn't be with us here today live, so she recorded a testimonial for us. But one of the things that I had asked her, and this has been something that has been cool for me, is this is the first time I've done a group coaching program with a fellow coach, and it's been really cool and very unique about that experience for myself. What has it been like for you working with both Scott and myself? Because we do have different approaches, but we yet come to the same conclusion as far as how we can help you guys. What has that been for you? Has it been confusing, or has it been something cool? Like, I got to get a little bit of this person, a little bit of that person. Or what's that experience been for you?
It's been
I think we broke up a little.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. You just broke up for 1 second.
Sorry. So you guys both bring different things and the same energy for different aspects of what our needs might be. For me specifically, there were things that, I was drawn to you, Chris. And then for other things, Scott, you were my help. So I think having both minds and both coaching techniques was probably more powerful than just having one of you individually.
Awesome. Thank you. I feel the same way. I think now looking back, as I was like, okay, it's going to be weird having two coaches doing this. But again, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do is to bring that diverse ability to look at different things, because of course we're going to have different people in our programs to be able to help you guys. So yeah, that's one of the things I've been excited about too. And that's one of the things I've been telling a lot of people about is like, you get the diversity of this. Plus, I mean, not only you're in a group and not only is it live, we were talking to Emily yesterday and she's like, I just love that it's live and then we get to interact and we get to ask questions and having access to us afterwards. What have been some of the other takeaways that you've got from the group, and what is your outlook looking forward now that you're about to graduate?
Oh, lots of things. First, Emily was my accountability partner, and I feel like I truly gained a friend and someone that I can contact after the fact for even just, advice or just, friendship. I also did this program with my significant other. So I think as much as we have grown individually, I think we have also grown together, and that has strengthened our relationship. So I would definitely, advise any couple if they were interested to do this together. It absolutely is amazing. I just feel like I was always trying to figure out what my purpose was and what my next step is and was at the time. I think doing this program absolutely gave me the clarity that I need for my next steps in life. And I'm finally starting to live, and I'm just waiting to see what else happens,
That's so awesome. It's really funny because it seemed like yesterday, Chris and I are like, should we do this together? And of course, like the reasons that you're saying no, like every coach in the world saying, no, you have to split profits. It's not worth it. Like everyone's like got this bad like thing. And I'm like, you know what, for once, let's just do something for the right reasons, because if you have polarity and you have two people saying things similar but different, you have two viewpoints. So the product has to be better as long as everybody cares in the group. And I'm listening to you talk, and I remember in our conversation, and I remember talking to you. I remember where I was when I was talking to you, Danielle, saying, I want to see you here. I was in front of my mother-in-law's. They were waiting for me to come into dinner, and I was sitting in front of the house, and they're going like, why aren't you coming in? And I'm sitting here going, just wait. Like, Danielle has to do this. It's going to be so great for her. And it's beautiful to watch yesterday to today that the universe comes together to make this happen so that we can all grow exponentially. And it's a beautiful process.
Absolutely. Agreed. 100%. It's worth every minute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's gonna be tough when it ends, because I mean we're just so used to meeting every Monday night and seeing what's going on in each other's lives. That's gonna be one thing, but when one thing ends, another beauty and another journey expands, and that's why it's beautiful that it's ending here in 2020, so that we can kind of graduate and celebrate and sit there and say, okay, 2021, you're mine. I'm ready. I got a foundation. I'm ready. And that's what we're doing right now. We're really trying to excite people to say, hey, listen, I love what you said before, and I just want to go back and point that out and say thank you again, Danielle, because you're right. we sit there and we look at the investment of something. We sit there and say, okay, it's going to cost me, I don't have the money right now. And I was in that same exact boat. I looked at joining a mastermind one time, and the opportunity seemed phenomenal. It was $5,000. I know masterminds were like $25,000 and $50,000. And I was just like, $5,000 for a year. I get 4 meetings and I get all this support. I was like, oh my God, I could do it on my own. But I've been doing it on my own, and it's not working. I'm getting there, but I'm not getting there. And And I was just like, this is a lot of money. I could pay off a bill. I could do these things. And I just said, you know what, Chris, if you can't make $5,001 back from this investment, if you can't sit there and you can't increase your life that much for that investment, then you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. You're not putting the energy and the effort into where it is that you want to go. And I think that's an important rule of the law of reciprocity, the law of continued growth. And Scott, I love your input on this, because once I said yes, ever since I said yes, when I said yes before to show up to this event, to get me to that event, if I would have never said yes to myself, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. And I would never sit there and say, okay, the investment is worth it. Okay, yes, is it uncomfortable? Yes, do I have to sell things or change things around? But I would not be the person I am today, as successful as I am today, had I not done that. So and it keeps opening doors. Like you said, like you called me earlier and said, hey buddy, remember you said you wanted to meet so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, I just met the guy that knows. And I'm like,
amazing.
Really?
Yeah. It's, and we can sit here and talk about this all day, but it's so I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to ask you to do something. Go find somebody who is a superhero to you, and somebody who's really established themselves and got what they wanted out of life. Like they've gotten what they wanted out of life. And ask them, if somebody took everything away, whether what they've gotten is financial or partnership or whatever, if you took it all away, could you get back to this place again? And the people I've met that are the most successful always say, yeah, I don't have this by accident. I have this by understanding process tools. So to that point, once you understand the tools, you understand the game, you understand what we're in, what are we playing? Like, I want to make this so simple. You ready? If this is a giant video game and I give you the hammer and the extra speed and the ability to jump and the thing to, go invisible, and I gave you those tools, and I just say there's times you'll need these, know where they are in your tool belt, you'll be fine starting the game over, because you know how to play the game, because you got the tools. What happens is so many people say, follow my path and come into the game. Well, you follow the path. They've got all the tools. So of course they can build the house. Of course they can knock down the path. They've got the tools. You don't. We're giving you the tools, because the tools can never be stolen. So if everything goes haywire and you have to start over, you're completely cool with that. Go ask multi-millionaires or super successful people in like music or whatever. What happens if somebody take it away and they all say the same thing? All the best, they'll tell you, I'll just come back here again. And that's what we're trying to give you guys, is that toolkit that this world can't take you down, because you are all powerful and you've got the tools to rebuild and create at any time and any moment. Is that a reasonable thing for me to say, Danielle, after you've been through this program? Because you can call me out right now if you want to, but that's how I feel.
No, absolutely. It's not a gimmick. It really isn't. We did the work over 12 weeks, and maybe you want to call it progress instead of work, sure, because it's really what you're doing for yourself. But now that we've done that, now my journey's just starting. It's just the beginning. And it's the continuous process. It's not over because the 12 weeks are over. It's just beginning. And I've learned all these different things that now I feel confident for my next steps to pull out of those, that tool belt, really. So I'm going to have to keep going back and keep growing.
Which is so much fun.
It is. Danielle, thank you so much for taking this time and being here with us. Any final thoughts that you want to share with anybody, or are you ready to get off camera? Because I want to say one last thing before you do.
No, I thank you guys so much. It's interesting how I even came in contact with Scott and how it all transpired, but it was meant to be. This did not happen by accident. So if you're wondering why I'm even on listening to these guys, there's a reason. Take the opportunity now. It will absolutely change your life. So, hopefully everyone takes that opportunity and goes from there.
You are a sweetheart. And I just want to tell everybody out out there. You guys might think she's a natural camera ready person. She's like, she does the 5 o'clock evening news, but the truth is Danielle does not like being on camera, but look at what she's done with the confidence she's built. She's up here doing this. She's rocking and rolling in front of 7.5 million people right now.
7.25.
Fantastic.
Oh, honey, I love you. I think you're awesome. Give your husband a big, fat, huge hug for us. And I'll let you get up here, and Scott and I will finish this out. But thank you so much. You're a sweetheart. I can't wait to
Danielle, thank you.
Last class.
Love you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, isn't she awesome?
Ridiculous, dude. I mean, honestly, to watch somebody who the last thing they want to do is be on a camera, do that because they believe in what we're doing together, and come up here with such confidence when it's probably stressing the crap out of her. She's probably miserable doing it, and she'll still do that. And that's just the most beautiful thing, because it's wonderful to watch. There's no other way for me to say it. And one of the things that I know you and I agree with, Chris, is I want them to be 50 times better than us. I want them to come back and we're like, hey, can I come talk to you, even though you're wicked famous and this? I think it's the best. I love watching them succeed. It's just so cool. And she is amazing. It's all of them. Like, everyone's done something where we could talk about any one of them for hours about, remember when this happened? We were like, are they going to get there? And then they do. It's incredible. It's very cool.
It is, Scott. It is. And that's, somebody was asking me the other day, they said, what gives you the greatest pleasure? And I said, number one, seeing my son grow up and seeing him change and seeing him connect with things. But it's been this, and I know it's this for you. It's being able to say something to somebody, whether you're coaching them, whether you're just talking to them, whether you're saying hi, hey, have a great day. And you say, wow, somebody said hi to me. I mean, I say hi to everybody. But honestly, for me, it's being able to take every aspect of what has been my journey up until that point when I say something to somebody and I'm able to draw on my experiences. I'm able to draw on the pain. I'm able to draw on the triumph and be able to say something to that person where they have no hope or they have no belief or they haven't had any confidence. And I say something to them and I'm like, you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. And they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, it's kind of like Henry Ford. If you think you can or you think you can't, you will. And, you say something like, oh my God, I never thought about it that way. And they have a light shine on, and you spend 15, 20 minutes with them. You spend 6 months with them or 12 weeks with them. And you watch them literally like little kids that come in, they're like, what the hell is all this stuff? And I'm about to get uncomfortable. And what are you going to make me do? And, I don't like being uncomfortable, mister. And all of a sudden by the, 8th week, they're like, so how do we keep this going? Can we make it 14 weeks or something like that? And watching the evolution in their brain and the cognitive awareness that they can sit there and say, you know what, I can face a challenge now. I don't have to look at things the same way I've always done. And that's what we're really doing, Scott, is we're changing people's perspectives. We're not asking you to go, okay, I want to think completely different. It's just like, hey, can I have a little empathy towards people I disagree with? Hey, do I have to sit there and make everything always about me and always have to be right about everything? Can I, in these little perspective shifts we do every week, and we build on those after the 12 weeks. I love what Danielle said. She's like, hey, I'm ready to go. Is it going to be easy? No, but is it going to be worth it? Hell yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I love what she said. And then sometimes I'm like, do we switch verbiage and stuff, to entice people? But I mean, the right people show up and we'll be where they're supposed to be. But the word work versus progress or whatever, I mean, here's the deal. Anybody who's ever played a sport, anybody who's ever danced, anybody who's ever opened a business, anybody who's done anything, you put some effort in, there's work. There's work up front. But the thing is, when you're living in your brilliance, so that work is towards something that matters, it's no longer work, it's effort. And so I think what I want you guys to think about when you're looking at this is there's nothing that matters more than you. So where you'll go do the work to run a 10K, where you'll do the work to make a certain amount of money, where you'll do the work to buy a new house or a new car, why the hell are you not doing the work to be the best you possible? Because you're the only vehicle that matters, not all those others. And I get it. We've all sat in a space where we're like, no, if I do this, I'll get this. And this illusions and these things that we create, you only get what you put into you. Everything from you, once you've built yourself up to the best you possible, that's where all the power comes from. That's where infinite wealth. And when I say wealth, I don't mean financial. I mean wealth from every way you can think about it. Happiness, connection, financial, if you want to make it, talent, finding your brilliance. It'll pour out of you once you've nurtured yourself and created the inputs, the meditation, the right foods, the right personal growth, the right connection. We even talk when we speak about resilience, we help you create the right team, the right people around you so that you can be the best you can be. Because one of the illusions of the greatest people on the face of the earth that we all admire is they didn't do it on their own. They absolutely didn't. We look at them and say, oh my God, that's the most amazing person ever. Have a deep conversation with them. They'll go, you see that? Look at that. That's what you're looking at. I'm the reflection of these beautiful people who have helped elevate me because I had a message that we needed to share or whatnot. And that's how the world works, guys. And we want to empower you to be deeply connected, to find your brilliance, to kick butt in life. That's it. We just want you to be awesome.
It's so true, Scott. It's so true. And the one thing I use with people is, and the analogy I use with people is the fact that, you know, you sit there and you think about football practice, sports practice, you play basketball, and you think about, you know, what happens when the guy wins the Heisman Trophy or you see whatever, they win a trophy and they say, who do you want to thank? I want to thank my coach. That's usually I want to thank God, my parents, or my coach. Why the coach? Oh, because the coach was the one that made me get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do my sprints. The coach made me do shit that I didn't feel like I want to do. The coach pushed me harder than I thought I was going to be able to. The coach believed in me when I didn't believe in me. The coach had players around me to support me. The coach. The person that's holding your ass in the fire. The person that's lovingly saying, hey, listen, stop limiting yourself by the things that you don't think you can do. And here's what you really can do and maximize your potential. And I look at it this way, Scott, I wish I would have had coaches and masterminds when I was younger. I wish I would have invested in them when I was younger, because the success of where I would be now, it would be exponential, but it's all part of that journey. Let's tell the boys and girls what they're in for if they sign up for us. Because honestly, let's be honest, we're only looking for people who are absolutely ready and willing to maximize 2021. We don't want to play around with anybody who's gonna, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, Scott, we want like 9 or 10. The people that really want to dig in, get dirty, and have a lot of fun doing it, and realize that at the end of those 12 weeks in 2021, they're going to go out there and conquer. What is it that we're going to provide them, and for how much? Because we have a special for all these prudent people who showed up here today to be here with us live. What do they get, Scott?
Well, I want to share one last thing before I even tell them that. Sure. One of the funniest things in the world is, so we're sitting here saying, hey, you know, let us coach you and let us help make 2021 the best year ever. Well, here's something that I want you guys to know too. I have a coach. So it's funny. You're like, well, if you have a coach, why don't we just go to your coach? That's what I would be saying, right? If you know. But think of this, all right? You've got Tiger Woods, who knows how to play golf better than anybody else. He's got blind spots in his swing, things that he's not seeing, but somebody else can see it. So I would even ask your coaches, do you have coaches? Because your coaches should have mentors and coaches as well to see the blind spots to make you the best you possible. We do the same thing. We get taught uphill by our clients. So even somebody like Danielle, where she's like, hey, Scott, I wish you did this or did this. I'm like, that's a good point. We put down the notes. We even get better at what we do. So we're always delivering you the best product possible. What we're going to do right now is this program. If you really do the math, if you're doing coaching with a coach that's worthwhile, you're spending $200-300 for a session easily, if not more than that. We made this super affordable for you guys, and it's $19.95 if you do it for the 12 weeks. But we've made it insanely ridiculously affordable, because half of the people who want to do this that we've been speaking to are like, at this moment in time, I can't afford that, but we know that they need it more than ever because they've had rough 2020s. So we're making it insanely good. It's $895 for one person, or if you do 2 people, it's $1,200 for 2 people. So $1,200, and you can actually get 2 people, but you've got to sign up together. And so, like Oren was saying, I'm sorry, like Danielle was saying, her and her boyfriend Oren, they both signed up together. Okay, so if you had done something like that, you would get it for $1,200 for the 2 of you. So if you're in a relationship or you've got a best friend, you say this is for you, I would suggest getting that done now. And when are we doing that, Chris, again?
We're doing it until Sunday night, the 20th. Sunday night at midnight. The Black Friday special ends.
Sunday night at midnight. So you've got a little bit of time. And I will say this too, you know, a lot of times we're talking about, you know, giving gifts to others or whatever. This might be a good gift for somebody. I'm also a college business professor, and I can say if you're watching this and you've got a grandkid or a kid or somebody who's going off to college and you're worrying, are they going to be able to do this because half of it's virtual and it's kind of a cluster? I teach this stuff to my students. This isn't embedded in their classes. They just don't know what's happening to them. And they walk away and they say, that's the best stuff I've ever heard in business, because I'm teaching them to be the best them possible. I'm teaching them to find their brilliance. I'm teaching them to connect with other people. I'm giving them the tools to succeed, and not just the business world, but the regular world as well. So I can say that this program, in fact, we have a 20-year-old in our group. This program is for anybody. Everybody gets a different thing from it because you use the tools the way you want. We're not telling you how to live your life or create your story. We're just giving you the tools to do it. So I think that's it, Chris. I just want to see, I'm excited to see another group of different, unique people. And this time I'm ready for it. So this time I'm going to go, I just know it's going to be great. Last time I'm like, will they be able to get along? Will they be, because your human nature is what's going to happen. And it's just, I should know better. I've been teaching for 13 years. There's always people in the class who look like they're going to argue. And by the end of the semester, they're all best friends. So at this point, I should know better. But my old traumas and my old things pop up and I start looking going, are we going to be able to do this? And the answer is, not only will it happen and work out well, it'll work out ridiculously well because it's just fun. And I love seeing people grow with one another. So.
Amen, brother. Amen. Well said. Well said. I put the link in the feed here for you guys to go check out all the different details. But yeah, there's a ton of details in there for you guys to mull over. It's an amazing opportunity. I will say that. I have a coach. I have my mentor. I have you as my accountability partner, my coach. You surround yourself, like you said, with the team aspect. Who do you trust? Who is your energizer? Who's your mentor? Who is your accountability partner? Yeah. Who's your accountability partner?
You got it.
I can spell team. That honestly, Scott, when I look back on my life and I think about why I'm successful and I think about why I'm here, it boils down to a couple of principles. And one of them is to seek first to understand, then to be understood, which we pound into everybody's brain. But my life would not be where it is today had I still associated with the people that I was with before. So as one final exercise for you guys to do, and this is a simple exercise. This is a powerful but simple exercise. Just take a piece of paper. You could just take a little thing like this and just write down positive or negative and draw a little line. And I want you to write down the 5 people in your life, the 5 people you're around the most. And I want you to write down their name. If in the negative pile, if they're negative and they don't support you and they don't push you to move forward, they tell you your ideas are stupid, put them in the negative spot. The people who support you, call you on your shit, who tell you, the truth, when you ask them, hey, do I look fat in these pants? You put those people on the left-hand side. Ideally, you want to have all your 5 people, the people that are going to be maximizing your productivity and not holding you back. It's like the barrel of monkeys, they're sitting there, they're trying to pull everybody back down. It's the truth, whether they're family members or not. Sometimes you need to kick people to the curb, not completely out of your life, but you have to sit there and say, okay, I need that person. I need a person in my life that's got my best interest. It's going to, hey, when I say I'm going to do something, that they say, why didn't you do it? And that's what a coach really brings to the table, is that loving accountability to say, listen, you made an investment in yourself. You obviously want better for yourself. I want better for you. So let's make this happen. So go do that, guys. If you're trying to have a 2021 that's going to be massively successful, and you're trying to fly when you're trying to fly like an eagle when you're playing with chickens, that's what you're going to get out of this. So go check out the website. You guys can click right there and get your tickets. If you have any questions, if you want a private session with Scott and I to ask us questions about anything, we're happy to do whatever it takes to make sure that this is the best opportunity for you to move yourself forward. If you're looking back in your life and you're thinking that, I hope, wish, and pray that something changes, or you play the someday game, someday when the kids are this, or someday when this, guys, life flies by super dramatically quick. And you got to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves in front of you, because it might be another lifetime before you get an opportunity. Not saying this is a lifetime opportunity, but it may be a point in your lifetime where if you don't make this decision for yourself, you might be comfortably miserable for the rest of your life. So Scott and I would love to have you. Final thoughts, Mr. Scott, and then we can
Yep, very simple. Also go to Facebook and Instagram and look us up. Chris and I are starting a new show in January. We've been doing our Friday night live sessions. If you haven't seen them or connected with us yet, we're going to have this. It's going to be a live show that's streamed to YouTube and Facebook, and also podcast. So you can check it out on Spotify, iTunes, and all that. And it's going to be called The Unfiltered Experience. So you can go /Facebook, The Unfiltered Experience. And I think it's the same on Instagram at The Unfiltered Experience. So we'll drop that in there. You guys check it out. Make sure you follow us. We're going to start populating that like crazy and putting a lot of stuff in there. So we love you. You guys are all amazing. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for showing up in your lives more than just being here. Thank you for showing up in your lives and being the best you possible.
Absolutely, Scott. Let's do a little bonus round. Let's see if we kept saying we would take questions. So if you guys have any questions, I've asked for questions here in the comments. I haven't seen any. But if you guys have questions for us, ask them. This is literally your time to ask us anything. How do I overcome this? Or what do I, you guys can have a session, because this is about obviously us making an offer for you to move forward. But at the same time, we want to see you guys successful. We want to be able to help you. If you're in a situation where you can't necessarily afford it, reach out to us. Let us know what we can do. If you know somebody who has services that we can barter with, social media service, and just let us know what we need to do to help you to get where you need to be, and you can help us as well. That's what this is, a family. It's a partnership. It's us building each other up organically, not strategically with, ads and stuff like that. This is grassroots, because we love you. We love you. We thank you guys all for being here. If there isn't any questions, what we're going to do is lastly, we're just going to invite you guys. If you guys have dug this conversation, we're going to have a more lighthearted, just a laid back one here in an hour. We do our Friday night shows. We kind of just turn it into a happy hour where we just hang out and Scott and I talk. Tonight, we've got a special, impromptu guest who's going to jump on and riff with us for a little bit. You guys love her. So we're just going to talk about what's going on in the world, just see what we can do and how we can look forward to 2021 and making it a better place, and using our gifts to unite the world and to help those in need, because now more than ever, obviously we need to do that with our gifts. Whatever your gift is, please go give it. Please go share that. Please embrace your brothers and sisters around the globe, and let's really be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. We've had an interesting 2020. It's up to us individually to look within ourselves to see the change and be the change that we want to see. And we want to be that change for you guys. So I don't have anything else. Scott, you?
Perfect, man. Perfect
Boom.
ending.
Hey, I am here with the amazing Emily Aukland, who has been a participant of our Raise Your Vibration group coaching program here. And Emily has been kind enough to share a little bit about her experience in the program. So thank you very much for being with me today, Emily. I really appreciate you both being here as a testimonial and being a part of the group coaching program.
Yes, thanks for having me, Chris. I'm happy to talk about my experience in the class. It's been an outstanding experience.
Awesome. Who would you say is a good fit for this particular program?
When I talked to Scott actually to sign up, I was thinking to myself, why would I be a good fit for this program? So to answer your question, for me, it's anyone who is looking to do themselves a favor and spend time on improving themselves. So, for me, I'm always looking at ways to think about things differently and to just create a more positive attitude. Maybe, work on those little things that I don't like about myself. And so, that's kind of why I initially started, is just because I know I can improve myself and be a better person. So that's what made me jump in. Of course, the class is a lot more than that I soon found out, but yeah.
And how did that make you feel, finding out about different things in the class? Was that something you were excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a control freak, and I know that you and Scott kept saying, slow down, Emily, we're gonna get there, and so I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and that made me feel a little uncomfortable at first. And like I said, I kept getting ahead of myself, but it helped me, and this was like one of my big lessons in the whole class, is to be present, right? So just like the class literally made me think, just take a step back and enjoy the moment and learn what's going on right now, instead of always getting ahead and having to control what I'm participating in. So it was a huge lesson for me.
Awesome. No, thank you for sharing that. And as far as the group dynamic, what did you think about the group dynamic? I know some people think group coaching, I don't want to be out in front of other people and everything, but what was the group coaching program for you like overall, as opposed to some of the programs that you may have participated in before?
Love it. I love the format of this class. One of the reasons I really love it is that it's live. So, we meet once a week. It's only an hour and a half, maybe a little longer, but that format for me, where it's live and interactive, I loved it. And then the accountability piece, where we're paired up with someone and we, text or chat or whatever, whatever we want, however we want to communicate, was so awesome. And I got to meet amazing people. My accountability partner is outstanding. She's from across the country. Never would have met her before, and I think we'll definitely stay in touch. So the format for me, it made me, one, do the assignments, because you have that accountability person. And then two, I got to meet people from all over the country in a live interactive format. So I loved it.
Awesome. No, thank you. I was absolutely, it was really an interesting experience because I have been in group coaching programs myself, and I've obviously facilitated them as well. And the way it took off as a family really was super cool to see, and see the melding of different personalities and whatnot. How did you feel like the experience was working with myself and Scott? And you could be completely honest and transparent, working with myself and Scott as your co-leaders.
Yeah, I love y'all. I think that you guys balance each other really well. So, Scott is very programmatic. He's like, he's given us the homework assignments and he's kind of going through the material. Whereas you are super motivational. There was for me with the class, there was, a little bump in the road where you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, Emily, how can I help you with this material? How can I help you with this class?" And, we spent a good hour and a half on the phone. So like, y'all make yourselves available to help with whatever we're going through or whatever we're trying to accomplish in the class. And I think you and Scott both, you just complement each other really well.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. I really appreciate that. It really is. It's a cool experience. I mean, we do have different styles and different approaches to things, but what's really cool about Scott and myself is the fact that we are coming to the same point in the road, and we come at it from different aspects to help different people with different mindsets to reach that same destination. So thank you for saying that. It's one thing I've definitely noticed about Scott. What else would you offer about the program that perhaps I haven't asked you about, that perhaps things you've gained, things you're looking forward to addressing in your life, and what else you could recommend for people to join the program?
So, I mentioned that I had a little bump in the road, and I won't get into that, but the class pushes you, okay? So it pushes you out of your comfort zone. And it might sound odd that we're thrown in a group of people that we don't even know, and we're asked to, push ourselves and challenge ourselves. But the weird thing is that I felt completely and totally comfortable doing that. So when I had an issue with, what I was going through, what I was dealing with, I had no problem sharing that with the group. And then, working with you, Chris, and with Scott individually to help me through it. So, this class, it really pushes you to get out of your comfort zone, do things a little differently, think about things a little differently, and with strangers. So it's like, you might not feel comfortable, but you do feel comfortable. So, I think the format, the group, the coaches, it's just an outstanding program.
Just a beautiful situation for us to move into 2020 and having an awesome year. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. You're awesome.
Yes.
And we'll just go ahead and are we good? Anything else
Yep.
right now? Yeah, I just want